Good afternoon, everyone. And we're gathered here today in what until now is a fairly innocuous building near the stadiums. But as of today going forward, it is going to be the home of a new area command for the city of Albuquerque. This, I think, is the first new area command since the West Side area commands were split up around sort of the turn of the century. And so this is the beginning of what we think is a continued redoubling effort in terms of what we're doing in terms of public safety. But I know for this community, which you're going to hear from shortly, this is a very, very big deal. It's something that our city councilor and many at the city at APD have wanted to do at least for a decade. And we finally figured out a way to be able to do it. And so we are announcing today the formation of a new area command known as the University Area Command. Now, we're doing this for a couple of reasons. Number one, we do believe in general at the city, we'd like smaller area commands to provide a more focused, community-driven, intensive ability to keep people safe in a particular neighborhood. We know the first place we want to try this out is in the university area. And so we're going to talk to you a little bit today about boundaries and borders and things of this nature, but let me just use very generic terms for our city. Right now, we are asking one of our area commands to cover all the way essentially from Central and Moon, all the way down to the freeway and where the stadiums are at UNM, and all the way across to Mesa del Sol, and all the way the other way to the other interstate and sort of out by Constitution. Also, this same area for decades has also had basically statistically the highest number of crime incidents. Now, sometimes it might be in the Southwest and otherwise, but we know this area has always been too big. And so the idea is we're going to basically split it in two. This means that the International District and areas in East Central are going to get a much more focused, much more community-aligned area command, which is something they've wanted for a long time. It also means in the other direction that the UNM area, the sort of area where all our students live and so forth, they are going to get a much more focused set of field patrols and officers who know that community. And lastly, there's one place where our city is growing the fastest, and it is Mesa del Sol. And so we have to do this to plan for how we are going to be able to dispatch faster out to Mesa del Sol in the far south of the town. And so we're excited that our chief and APD and our lieutenants who are involved in doing this with respect to bids and staffing are able to do this. So I want to say thank you to, of course, Lieutenant Doug Greco and also our area commander, Luke. We could not be able to do this without great leadership in the current Southeast Area Command. And now we're going to be dividing that up more or less into two different area commands. And so we also hope that, down the road, there's a couple of other areas in town over the next few years we might try this with, but this is by far the first and I think the most urgent, and so we're going to try it here and see how it works. So I think with that, I just want to mention that, for folks in this community, we used to do area commands by quadrants. I mean, that's essentially where this all came from. And then we agreed the west side was too big, so we split that one up, and then there was the foothills, and we have this sort of funny map that corresponds to the growth of our city. But now this is different. This is about corresponding to where resources are needed most, and then also about preparing for where our city is growing. Those two things are coming together at the right time to create the new University Area Command. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our Chief of Police, Harold Medina.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Keller and Councilor Davis for trusting us in moving forward and piloting this project in the southeast to divide the area command. I worked patrol for 14 years on Graveyard, and during that time, for 14 years, I listened to the radio, and Southeast was always the busiest area command there was. The calls holding were always incredible, but that's only looking at it one-dimensionally. In the end, there is a commander who is expected to be the chief of that area command, be out in the community. And right now, Commander Lango has to split his time up between areas in the east side of the area command and areas in the west side of the area command, and it's kind of unfair to the community. So what we wanted to do was bring the proper resources, so not only are we addressing calls for service, we're also doing that community building within the area command, and that people are getting the attention from the top and that there is always a ear that is going to listen to the community to what's occurring in those specific areas. As a graduate from the University of New Mexico, alumni to UNM, go Lobos, I think it's also important that we make sure that our families from throughout the state of New Mexico. I was born and raised in Taos, New Mexico, came to the University of New Mexico, and my parents wanted to know I was in a safe environment. And there's a lot of areas outside of the university where we know our student body lives, and we're hoping to increase our efforts to ensure that they feel safe and that we'll continue to move the needle in lowering crime and reducing the fear of crime. I think that's important. The University of Mexico has been kind enough to allow us to use this building during this pilot project, so we'll be situated here, and we don't know what the future will bring or where we'll be located, but we love the concept of being here because we're hoping that we could share more resources and build stronger on our relationship with the University of New Mexico Police Department and ensure that we're always working together. As Mayor stated, this is a pilot project. We're trying it for 1 year. After the year, if we don't find it successful, we'll reassess and we'll figure out what we're going to do to make sure that we continue to develop our relations and give better service to this area of town. Our deputy chiefs and our deputy commander will explain more of what's going on here, but there's also a specific tie into this, is our proactive response team that's going to be situated in the southeast is going to focus on warrants in this area, but it is also our former open space unit. And at the time when we took the open space unit apart, there's a lot of questions like who's going to provide this service. The collateral duty that they're going to be providing is they will now be attached to a squad that is not responsible and tied to a radio for taking calls for service as needed every day. They're going to be proactive. They're going to be down here. They're going to be trying to clear up some of our warrants. And when they're needed, they could easily be pulled to some of their open space duties. And this goes along with our philosophy at APD to make sure that we are able to get more resources to specific problems at the moments they're needed so that we don't have people needlessly driving around all day waiting for that one call that they may be taking during the shift. This is also a good location because we know that they have quick access to the interstate, they have quick access to the bosque, and within a few minutes they could be on the interstate and heading towards the foothills to some of those areas. I would also like to know that recently we had an incident at UNM, and we know that that was one of our most wanted subjects, so we just got in custody last week, and it would be nice to know that we have our resources closer to assist us. I want to thank UNM for initially responding to that call and holding it down until we got there. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Brown at this time, but like I said, this is a great day for us. It's a huge day in us adding this new area command. I want to thank everybody who supported us and assisted us in getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Excuse me, Chief, 1 second. I forgot one thing, and then we'll make sure our order's right there. So just before Deputy Chief Brown comes up, I do want to mention 2 things. I want to thank President Stokes. I called her at UNM and I said, we need a building as soon as possible. And she gave us a few options. I also want to thank President Hartzler from CNM. They gave us some options as well. And so, again, we're going to utilize this one for a number of reasons. But we also have a $4 million ask up at the legislature to fund a permanent home for the University Area Command. And we also wrote this into the tax increment district package, which Councilor worked on. Councilor Davis can talk a little bit about that. And it is also up in the legislative session. So we have built the institutional groundwork to keep this if we want to, indefinitely. And so we are very excited, at least, that that groundwork has been laid. And appreciate the 2 presidents for their help making this happen in the short term.
Thanks, sir. You know, one of the things that we talk about, if you look at this collaboration, there's multiple facets to it. We have UNM, which is part of the state, and APD. It's huge, the cooperation that we're receiving. I mean, we needed a building, we needed to reach out, and automatically we have people offering up stuff. So thanks to UNM for your support. I talked to Chief Silva about future upcoming operations that we can do together. And kind of to kick it off, this is the busiest area command in the city. Day in and day out, they take the most calls for service, has the highest violent crime rates. And it's also one of the most vibrant and diverse portions of the city as well. We have Nob Hill, down in the university area, all the way up to the international district. So this is truly, the center of Albuquerque. And if we look at how we're gonna do this, it's up to our men and women on the police department to really come and make this portion of it work. This is where we can't be afraid to try new things. You know, sitting there and say, "Oh, this is how we've always done it." It doesn't work anymore. This is reaching out and trying new strategies, new approaches to kind of get this ball rolling. If you look at what we've done with the PRT teams, Southeast PRT currently has the highest arrest rates in the entire city, and 90% of that is generated west or east of San Mateo. So what does that do to the rest of this area command down on the west side? You know, this is about how we get the right resources in the right area, so they can really focus on that micro focus down and drill into what's problematic for us situationally in each neighborhood, to get them the resources that they need. If you look at it, we're going to have 30 officers working out of this substation: 6 sergeants, 2 lieutenants, and a deputy commander. This is an area command. This is fully staffed. This is not just an ad hoc kind of, you know, give a little bit and see what happens. This is dedicated. We've given the resources to it. We've given the support to it. I want to thank the mayor and the chief for the follow through. I mean, this is a kind of an all hands collaborative effort, and it's huge. It's something I truly believe is going to affect the Southeast Area Command. Nob Hill, the university area. I mean, I'm also alumnus of University of New Mexico. Played football in that stadium right across the street. So everybody has ties to this area in some way, shape, or form. It's going to be a big area command. Kind of like the mayor was saying, if you look at it, it's over 30 square miles just in this new section right here. Goes from San Mateo west I-25, I-40, all the way to Mesa del Sol. That's huge. It's big. We've got the right people in place to kind of make this work. We've got our newly acting deputy commander, Del Greco, is going to be leading this portion of it. And Luke Langlet, who's our Southeast Area Commander, still has the operational control over the whole thing. So that's kind of how the breakdown of the chain of command goes. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commander Langlet. He can kind of fill you in on a little bit of what their plan is going to be moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. My name is Luke Langwood. I'm the current Southeast Area Commander. I've been in the Southeast Area Command for 2 years now, and I'm just really excited for this opportunity. Like the chief and the deputy chief said, I've lived in the Southeast Heights. I went to school here. I went to Highland High School. I also graduated from the University of New Mexico. And just recognizing how diverse, I mean, there's so many different cultures in the Southeast Area Command. We're home to the 2 largest hospitals, the 2 largest colleges, bordering the Air Force Base, the airport, and of course our historic Nob Hill Shopping District, the International District, University Heights, Mesa del Sol. It's such a diverse community here in the Southeast. It's a vibrant and it's a great place to live and work. So I'm really excited at this initiative. At my level, I always try to think as creative as possible and be innovative. And this pilot project definitely is going to be bringing more resources. So our response when it comes to calls for service, so when you call for help, we can get there more faster, we could get there more efficiently, and we can and provide that safety. So from a call for service response and also a community engagement response, this is going to be huge. I'm excited that our Deputy Commander, Ray Del Greco, is going to be in charge of this portion of the Area Command. He brings a vast amount of experience from violent crimes and tactical operations. He's really going to be beneficial for the officers assigned to this Area Command and creating and maintaining those partnerships in the community. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great thing, and this will be a good model going forward as we want to implement this through other parts of the city. And I have full confidence that Deputy Commander Del Greco is going to do great things. So with that, Deputy Commander.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Ray Del Greco. I'm the acting deputy commander of the University Area Command. And as the speakers before have stated, I've been promoted from the violent crime section where I oversaw the homicide unit. And I look to bring that experience that I developed in the homicide unit to the University Area Command to serve the citizens that live and work in this area. So as the speakers before have already stated, this is the busiest area command, and splitting resources through dividing the area command is going to allow APD to focus more clearly in the west side and the university area. I wanted to give you all a couple of examples of how that is already paying off. So on Saturday, which was the first day that the University Area Command was fully operational, University Area Command officers responded to a traffic accident in the area of Morningside and Lead. And they noticed the driver of that vehicle had fled the scene of the accident. Excuse me. As the officers, due to the fact of the new area command, they were able to respond in a quick enough time to be able to locate the driver of that vehicle who had fled down the road a couple of blocks, and were able to take that person into custody. They were able to conduct a DWI investigation and were able to arrest that person for leaving the scene of an accident and the DWI. That would have been a little more difficult under the old system due to the fact of the allocation of resources. Just another example that had occurred just yesterday, Isleta Police Department had attempted to make a traffic stop on a vehicle that fled from them a couple of days ago. The University Area Command officers were doing proactive enforcement in the area, and they located that vehicle and they were able to safely stop it, and they arrested 2 of those people that were involved in that pursuit in Isleta PD without incident. So again, just in the quick time that we've been operational, we're already starting to see the fruits of the labor paying off. I would like to thank Mayor Keller and Chief Medina for their leadership and stepping outside of the box and looking at ways that they can adequately serve the citizens in this area. So with that, I appreciate the opportunity and thank you all.
And we'll hand it over to Councillor Pat Davis.
Thanks all, and we appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. This is fantastic. As the mayor said, this is an idea that I think's been around more than a decade. I think it was, I don't know how many years ago, when Deputy Chief and I were together at UNMPD. I won't say how old we were back then, but it was a minute ago. And there have been challenges with figuring out how to do better in this neighborhood and working together with UNM and with APD. I have to say, in the last few years, the commitment from UNM to participate with APD and with the city at large on issues around homelessness, on safety, sharing our community, figuring out how we work together better, has really been the impetus that's put this together. That's been more than a decade. I think we've talked about this since I was a new officer at UNM years ago, and again since over 2 mayors, and I can't tell you how many, 3, 4 chiefs I think now. But to have folks that actually sat down to figure this out makes a big difference, and it's because we're cooperating, because the city and UNM are looking to how do we make this part of Southeast Albuquerque even better than it is today. And as the mayor said, when you look at where our city is growing, it's right here. It's the 300 homes in Mesa del Sol, the 300 more under permit. It's the 4,000 new jobs the city incentivized and announced during COVID right here in this airport to Mesa del Sol to UNM, CNM corridor. More than the entire oil and gas sector in New Mexico combined. Coming to this part of New Mexico, looking to invest and come back and make this place home. It means that we have to be better about it. And as a former cop way back in the day, it does matter a lot if our officers have more time to spend in their neighborhood, to get to know our residents, to get to know their resources, to get to know our business leaders. And as our Commander Del Greco said, it matters for response times, because when somebody calls and there are more officers a few minutes closer, it makes all the difference. And so it's going to be a huge thing for all of us. I have to say, I can not be more impressed and proud and grateful for Chief Medina and his chiefs for really taking a data-driven approach. Where do we do this? What do we do first? Because for all of us at City Hall, the questions we get more often every day are, when are we going to see more resources? What are we doing to get more officers here in our community? And you're seeing that really happen. We've made historic progress on DOJ reforms. We have made really in the last 6-8 months real efforts on closing violent crime cases, doing better with our detective academies to close those cases faster and better, and to reduce our response times. And this is going to do even better. And it will make our officers better, community police officers, because it does matter if you get to spend every day in your week in one neighborhood working with the neighborhood to solve a problem, instead of being on Eubank one day to work on one problem and being in the university area the next to work on student issues. And so we're excited for those of us who live here. We're excited for the folks in the International District who have a team of officers now dedicated to their issues, working with their partners. It's going to be a dynamic change, and we think we can model this for the rest of the city about how to do community policing even better. And so we're grateful for that. And thank you to the mayor and the chief for letting us try this here. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Jeff Hohen with the Nob Hill Neighborhood Association.
All right, yeah, hi there, everyone. I'm Jeff Hain, a board president for the Nob Hill Neighborhood Association, and we have long waited for this, and we are very appreciative of it. We've seen a lot happen in our neighborhood, right? We've seen Nob Hill kind of grow and then go through a rough time, and our view as a neighborhood association is that this is part of the good times that are to come. This brings safety, this brings a clean neighborhood. You know, Nob Hill is a gem, right? You can walk, you can shop, you can do it all. And we know that, you know, with community policing and with the help of our officers and with, you know, I think the support of the commander and our neighborhood, we are looking forward to working with each and every officer and working together to find any solution we can find, any way we can do it. And we hope that this pilot project is not a pilot. We hope it goes on forever. And so we are appreciative to the mayor and to the councilor and to the chief. So thank you.
Would anyone from UNM please want
Hi, I'm Joe Silva, and I'm the Chief of Police for the University of New Mexico. On behalf of the UNM Regents and President Stokes, I just want to express my gratitude and excitement for the opportunity to collaborate with the City of Albuquerque and most importantly the Albuquerque Police Department in really one of the tenets of community policing, and that's decentralization. I don't want to date myself, but when I was working for APD, we only had 3 area commands. That was back in 1981. And so I think to live out this opportunity to partner and collaborate with APD, I just think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to address some of the public safety problems that have been going on for many, many years. Thank you.
And if I could just close with one thing about our selection for a deputy commander. We wanted to bring somebody in who would do a great job and who would be able to bring a certain concept to this area. And when you look at what our violent crime section did last year with homicide and the clearance rate, it was done because they built a team, and that team believed in themselves and they accomplished great things. And Acting Deputy Commander Ray Del Greco was part of that team. And that's part of why we gave one of our best to this area, to hope that that same concept of building a team that has one united message going forward would be able to be accomplished here in this new area command.
I think that will open it up for questions.
There are several of those, problem motels in the university area. Do you feel like having this command will help put a focus on kind of trying to tamp down crime in those areas? It seems like a lot of them continue to be troublesome.
Yeah, so the folks at APD can chime in, but this is one of the reasons why we wanted to look at this concept. And the idea is, if you think about the officers in their daily responding to calls, right? They're going to respond to a call at that hotel, but the theory is that in the case of, for example, narcotics trafficking, they're actually going to be able to more real-time understand, like, oh, I saw those same 2 cars in the parking lot of Motel 6, and now they're in the parking lot of Motel 8, or, that kind of thing. And so that is kind of the combination of community policing and these physical places that we're very worried about. We're going to be able to really tighten that connection in a way that we couldn't do with a broader area command.
And I think one of the things to remember is that there is just no one solution to some of these problems. We've talked about it, and a few weeks ago, the city of Albuquerque for the first time filed against a piece of property at Pennsylvania Central, a thorn in our side. I could think of another thorn in my side just down the street here off of the interstate of another hotel where we've had a record number of incidents. And what we want to create is we want our commander to have the time to, one of 2 things, work with these locations to fix their problems, or work so that we could get some kind of resolution, and if need be, the city go into litigation with these locations to close them down. We have to do a better job at that, and that's what we're hoping this enables us to, is Acting Deputy Commander Del Greco will have more time to devote to these locations that Commander Lanquit simply doesn't have, because he's focusing on other areas in the east side of the command that are driving higher crime rates, but still problematic.
Other questions?
No, they're easy. All right, well.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Round of applause to all officers put together.